In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to get out of anxiety and overwhelm and other negative emotions so you don't turn to food and alcohol to make yourself feel better. I'm going to be teaching you a coaching tool that I teach all of my clients that I have learned deeply in my own transformation of eating better and living better and getting healthier. And it is, of all the tools I teach my clients, it is my most transformative tool that lets you really understand how you can actually change the way you feel. So again, you don't have to turn to food and alcohol to make yourself feel better. You don't have to emotionally eat. This is really very powerful, especially after a long day. And after a long day when we've been feeling stress and annoyance and frustration and any one of the negative emotions, it's almost like in order to feel relief, we turn to food and alcohol. And this is why in the evenings, it's harder than even in the morning time to control ourselves, to feel confident around food. So what I want to do is not say, eat this, don't eat that, because you already know that. What I want to do is I want to teach you how to, if you're stressed, let's get out of stress so you don't have to turn to food. If you are frustrated, let's get out of frustration so you don't have to turn to food and alcohol. So this is what I'm going to teach you today. It is called a thought model. And this, again, most powerful tool of all the tools I've ever used in my own life. And I teach this extensively to all of my clients. Let's dive into it. So the thought model basically tells us that there's circumstances happening all the time, different circumstances for you, different circumstances for me. Some of them we have similar. So circumstances are like weather, like exactly what the weather is right now at this moment. Circumstances might be how much you weigh when you step on the scale. Circumstances might be what's going on with your kids right now, what's going on in your relationship, how much money you have in the bank, who our president is, what is the state of the economy. All these things are circumstances. The circumstances are constantly changing around us. What most people are doing as they're walking around the world and they're living their life is they are letting circumstances dictate how they feel and how they show up for their lives. But if we're waiting for circumstances to all be beautiful and aligned, we're going to be waiting a long time because that's just not how our life experience is. So here's what I want to share with you, which is so powerful. Circumstances are neutral. And we know this because let me give you a few examples. Circumstances are neutral. The weather. So I live in Northern California and I live in a little town called Chico where the weather today is going to be 98 degrees. It probably is 98 degrees right now. I love 98 degrees. I love that it doesn't fully cool off in the middle of the night, so it stays warm during the day. My pool stays warm. So 98 degrees is a circumstance. It's neutral. I think it's fantastic. I have great thoughts about the neutral circumstance of 98 degrees. But there's a lot of other people that live in my town that do not feel the same way. To them, it's not neutral at all. To them, they think, oh my God, we love it living here, but we hate the summers, right? They have different thoughts than I do about 98 degrees. Here's another example for you. You might step on the scale and it might say 142 pounds. You might be like, yes, right? You might be like, amazing. But someone else might step on the scale and it might say 142 pounds and they might be like, oh my God, I can't believe I let myself go. So 142 pounds is neutral. It's just the number on a scale. It's the weight of when you put everything that goes along with your body together, and that's how much you weigh. It's neutral until we have a thought about it. Here's why this matters. So circumstances are neutral until we have a thought about them. The reason why that matters is our thoughts drive our feelings. So if I have a thought, oh my God, tomorrow's going to be 98 degrees, so fun, I have a feeling. The feeling is excited, pleased. If you have a thought, oh my God, it's so hot in the summer in Chico, you're going to feel discouraged and maybe a little depressed or a little annoyed. If you step on the scale and it says 142 and you think, oh my God, I'm doing really well, this is really working, you're going to feel empowered, you're going to feel excited, hopeful. If you step on the scale and it says 142 and you say, oh my God, I can't believe it that I'm this doesn't make sense, I can't believe I'm this way, you're going to feel discouraged and sad and angry and resent all the different things. So our thoughts, whatever thoughts we have, drive our feelings. Now, why that matters is the way we feel determines our actions. And when I say actions, I mean our behaviors, what we do and what we don't do every single day. If we are feeling, let's do the scale analogy. If we step on the scale and we say 142, excuse me, so we say 142, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm doing so well, this is actually working, we're going to feel something like empowered or exhilarated or proud or peaceful, something like that. And we're going to probably go throughout our day and we're going to act in a way that's more aligned with continuing to go on that route, right? We're going to probably eat a little bit better, probably stand up a little taller. We're going to be, maybe work out a little harder. We're going to find evidence that things are working, meaning like we're going to look at our life and go, yeah, things are working, right? So our action's going to be different if we're positive. If we step on the scale and say to ourselves, oh my God, this isn't working, this is never going to work, I'm just in midlife, this is my body now, which is what a lot of women think. Because of that, you're going to feel disgusted or deflated, something like that, or sad, and you're probably going to eat to make yourself feel better. Ironically, we usually turn to food, and if you drink alcohol, if we feel any negative emotion. So our feelings matter because they really dictate what we do and don't do on a daily basis. And then the reason why that matters, the reason why our actions matter, what we do and don't do, is because it produces our results. And our results every single day, you might not get huge results in a day, but we know that the results compound and the results create our life. The results are the state of our health, the state of our relationships, the state of our home, the state of our friendships, all the different things, how much money we make, all these different things are really determined by the actions we're taking and not taking every single day. So here's what I want you to know when I've taught you this model. Two things. First of all, this has to be practiced, this way of thinking. Like I would watch this video over again to really understand it at a deeper level. And I'll teach you how to use it in a minute. But what I really want you to know is the other thing is our thoughts are what matter more than anything. And let me tell you why this is good news, is because we can change our thoughts. We have a lot of habitual thoughts. If you've never heard this before, that you can change your thoughts, you might be like, what are you talking about? But we have a lot of thoughts every day. And a lot of our thoughts, most of our thoughts, were programmed and given to us when we were growing up. Our view of the world, our view of what's possible for us, our view of ourselves, a lot of times were given to us when we were young. And so we can now look back at some of the way we're thinking and go, that's not true. It is just a thought. Is that thought serving me? Is that thought producing a good feeling, which is producing action that's actually creating a result I want? Now let's circle back to how to actually use this thought model to get out of anxiety or overwhelm, any negative emotion, so you don't turn to food and alcohol to make yourself feel better. As you're going throughout your day, let's say it's a random Tuesday and you're just feeling like some flavor of negative emotion. The first thing you want to do is be able to identify what negative emotion you're feeling and where is it in your body. So you might just, like a lot of people will just say, I'm anxious or I'm overwhelmed, but I want you to really take a moment and say, what is it? Is it guilt? Is it fear? Is it stress? Is it worry? Like I could go on and on with all the different negative emotions, but I want you to identify what you think it is and where is it in your body. So even just by slowing down and going, what is this? Okay, I feel like it's guilt. And where is the guilt? It's in my chest, or it's behind my head, or it's in here, whatever. Even that slowing down, I promise you, even that slowing down and identifying and checking in with yourself is very therapeutic. But the reason, more important than it just being therapeutic, is what happens is when you slow down and you figure out where it is and you feel it in your body, there's a little bit of processing that happens. The first thing you can say is, can I actually just allow myself to feel this for a moment? Can I take a moment and go, I feel emotional, I feel overwhelmed, and it feels hot in my body, it feels racy, and just take a moment. So many of us are disconnected from our bodies, and this really helps just with processing. Even more importantly is when you can identify I'm feeling guilt, it is easier to understand the thought producing it. So if you can say I'm feeling guilt, then you can say, why am I feeling guilty? There is a thought that is making me feel guilty. And maybe the thought is, oh my gosh, I didn't eat the cake she made and she's going to be upset with me, or her feelings are going to be hurt. So you have that moment where you're like, okay, yeah, that's what it is. I'm really worried that happened to me last night. I went to my son's birthday party and my mom made the cake. And I had this moment where I decided not to eat the cake. And my brain offered me, your mom's feelings are going to get hurt. And it was a very split second. I've been doing this work for a long time. So it was a very split second thought for me. And I was like, oh no, that's not true. My mom understands. My mom can handle herself. She's an adult. I'm going to do what's best for me. So that's what you can do once you identify what the feeling is and then identify what the thought is. Then you can actually do what I like to call it poking holes in the thought. You can say to yourself, is this really true? Are my mom's feelings going to be hurt because I'm not eating cake? Is that really what's going on? Or do I really just want the cake? Like, what is really going on here? And then here's a question you can ask yourself that I absolutely love. It's a game changer. Is there another way to think about this? Is there another way to think about this? So I've been doing this work for a very long time. So I don't often sit and stew in the guilt of something. I feel a little bit of guilt and then I go, oh my God, what's happening here? Oh, I'm worried my mom's feelings are going to be hurt. And then I think, what's another way to think about this? Oh my gosh, my mom knows that sometimes I eat cake, sometimes I don't. But then I say to myself, just in case, I'm going to go over and put my arm around her and say, Mom, thanks so much for making this cake. I'm not going to have any. Thank you so much for eating this cake. I'm not going to have any, but it looks so good. And then she's going to go, yeah, no problem. No problem. And so then I'm going to make myself feel better. I'm going to give her some extra love. And then we move on. I'm going to do what I'm going to do for my life. She's responsible for her own feelings at that point, her own thoughts and feelings at that point. So if we can say, oh, good, I'm feeling a little less guilt now. But let's take anxiety. If you're in the middle of your day and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, something. And all of a sudden you're like, what is this feeling? This feeling is, I feel like it's anxiety. What is producing anxiety? And you're like, maybe it's a few things. Maybe you're telling yourself, I have too much to do today and I'm worried about one of my kids. So then what you do is you have the opportunity to say, okay, where am I feeling anxiety? I'm feeling it in my chest. Do I need to just sit with this for a moment? Possibly you just need to sit and give yourself some grace and cry it out for a moment. Sometimes we just need to process. We need to slow down and go, okay, what am I doing? But the other thing you can do again is we can think, what are the thoughts? I feel like I have too much to do today. Can we poke holes in that? Is that true? Do I have too much to do today? Oftentimes, if you're like me, we put all these things on us. We say, I got to do all this stuff. I got to do all this stuff. I have my to-do list. I have my big to-do list. All these things. But when it really comes down to it, if we don't do everything, it's going to be fine. It's not life or death for most things. And then we say, I'm worried about my son. Is there another way to think about my son or my child? I'm worried about him. Is there another way I'm worried about him? Maybe it worry is feeling, but the thought is like, I'm worried he's not going to get a job. I have a son right now who just moved to LA, and every once in a while I'm like, oh my God, what if he doesn't get a job? And I say, okay, Courtney, is there anything I can do about this? No. What's going to happen if he doesn't? What is the worst case scenario here? Well, I guess the worst case scenario is maybe he can be an Uber driver, or maybe he can borrow a little money from us, or maybe he can get a roommate. I mean, maybe there's other options. Is it helping to be worried? Maybe not. Maybe I can change the way I'm thinking and worry a little bit less. I don't know as a mom that we ever totally stop worrying, but we really can make ourselves worry a lot less by changing the way we think. I love when I'm worried about something, especially with my kids, I love going to worst case scenario. Oftentimes when we really go to worst case scenario, we can say, okay, you know what, there are some other things. We're going to be okay. We can identify, oh, worst case scenario, it's probably really not going to come to that. It's going to be okay. So how you can use this thought model in your life is if you're ever feeling any kind of negative emotion, identify the negative emotion. What is it? And then say to yourself, where is it in my body? Do I need to sit here and feel it for a moment? Or do I want to just identify the thought and let's change? Can we poke holes in that thought? Can we change the thought? Is there another way to think about this? And sometimes what you can do is you can actually write circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, results on a piece of paper. And you can actually start really exploring what you've done in the past and how your thoughts have either not served you or served you in the past. When I first learned this thought model, it was very powerful for me to look back at my day and say, oh, I really wasn't happy that I skipped this, or I really wasn't happy that I said this, or I really wasn't happy that I ate this. And then I would actually do a thought model. I would say, okay, this is what happened. And I would fill all this out. This is the action I took. I ate dessert when I said I wouldn't eat dessert. What was I feeling? I was feeling kind of like ambivalent. Why was I feeling ambivalent? Oh, I told myself it didn't matter. And the circumstance was my food plan. And the results, I wasn't making progress that day. So you can really play around with this just to get to know yourself better. But in the end, the model teaches us that our thoughts really do create our results. And you have so much more power over your thoughts now that you are an adult. You can look at your thoughts, and I suggest journaling them and getting them down on paper and saying, are these thoughts serving me? And if they're not, it's time to change them. So how do we do this? This is the last thing I want to share with you. How do we do this? We must practice it. All of this, any of the videos you watch on my YouTube channel, you must practice the work of doing thought work. You must practice mindset. You must practice talking to yourself well. You must practice, changing the thoughts that you've been thinking on repeat for years. And it very much can be done. And there's many ways to practice. And you will find another video in my YouTube account that talks about how to practice thinking better thoughts. And I'm going to give you a bunch of different examples because I know for me, I have a lot of ways I've practiced, but I have some of my favorites. So check out that video and you'll learn how to actually practice thinking better thoughts, which are going to make you feel better feelings, take better action, and get better results in your life.